The tension in the White House was palpable as President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy took their seats. The air crackled with unspoken weight, the kind that only comes with decisions that would alter the course of history. Cameras flashed, reporters whispered, and the world held its breath. This was more than a diplomatic meeting. This was a moment that could shift the tides of war, a war that had already claimed hundreds of thousands of lives. Zelenskyy sat across from Trump, his posture stiff, his eyes unwavering. The war in Ukraine had dragged on for years, leaving the nation in ruins. But Zelenskyy wasn't here just to discuss the devastation. He was here to secure real commitments from the United States. Mr. President, America's support has been vital, Zelenskyy began, his voice measured but firm. But we need guarantees. We need security. We need to know that Ukraine is not alone. Trump nodded, steepling his fingers. We've given Ukraine a lot, billions of dollars, weapons, training, but we have to talk about what's next, a long-term plan. Zelenskyy's jaw tightened. He had heard this before. Words, promises, support that wavered with political tides. We need air defense systems, long-range capabilities. If we stop now, Putin won't stop at Ukraine. Trump leaned back. I've spoken with Putin. He's ready to negotiate. He wants this over. The room fell silent. Even the journalists stopped scribbling. Trump had spoken with Putin? And what had he promised? Trump tapped the desk, glancing at his advisors. We have a deal, an agreement that will secure Ukraine's future while protecting American interests. It involves economic partnerships, raw materials, military aid, but there have to be compromises. Zelenskyy shook his head. Compromises? Russia has broken 25 ceasefire agreements since 2014. You expect me to trust that another piece of paper will stop them? Trump sighed. Listen, if I had been in office, this war never would have happened. You know it. Everyone knows it. But we're here now, and we have to make the best of it. Zelenskyy's hands clenched into fists under the table. We will not compromise our territory, not 1 inch. Zelenskyy wasn't just fighting for weapons. He was fighting for survival. He needed Trump to commit to long-term military backing. Air defense, artillery, munitions. We cannot defend ourselves without them. Trump exhaled. We'll get you what you need. But there has to be an exit strategy. America can't fund an endless war. Zelenskyy's voice was ice. If Ukraine falls, the war will not stop here. It will reach Poland, the Baltics, and beyond. Then American troops will be fighting this war. Trump studied him for a long moment before speaking. We'll see. But if we're doing this, America gets something in return. We need access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals. Zelenskyy's expression hardened. He knew Ukraine's resources were a key bargaining chip, but he had little choice. Just when it seemed negotiations were moving forward, a tense exchange erupted between Trump's advisors and Zelenskyy's team. A member of Trump's cabinet leaned in, eyebrows raised. Why should the American taxpayer keep funding this war? Zelenskyy's voice cut through the room like a blade. Because we are defending Europe, and without our fight, America will eventually be pulled in too. Trump sighed, rubbing his temple. You're not in a strong position here. Without America, this war looks very different for you. You should be a little more grateful. Zelenskyy's nostrils flared. We are thankful, but gratitude does not stop missiles from falling on our cities. Trump exhaled deeply. Look, we're working on something historic here. I want to be remembered as a peacemaker, but this deal has to make sense for everyone. Zelenskyy nodded slowly. Then let's make sure this deal actually secures peace. Not just words, but real security, real action. The conversation wasn't over. There were still documents to be signed, negotiations to finalize, and world leaders to consult. But one thing was certain. This meeting was a turning point. The world was watching, and history was being made in that room. Will this deal mark the beginning of peace, or just another chapter in an endless conflict? Time will tell. But one thing was clear. The war wasn't over yet. Zelenskyy didn't flinch. His face was hardened by the weight of leadership. Mr. President, we appreciate the support, he began, but we need more than just words. We need security guarantees, air defense systems, and most importantly, we need to end this war the right way. Trump nodded. We're working on something historic, he said. A deal that protects American interests, but also gives Ukraine the strength to stand on its own. He gestured toward a folder on the table. Inside was an agreement that could shift the balance of power in Eastern Europe. But Zelenskyy had concerns. Russia has broken ceasefires 25 times, he reminded Trump. I won't accept a deal without real security measures. If Putin isn't stopped now, he won't stop at Ukraine. His voice was unwavering. We fight today, so others won't have to tomorrow. The room fell silent. Journalists exchanged glances. No one dared interrupt. Then Trump spoke, slowly and deliberately. I've spoken to Putin. He's ready to talk. A pause. But there will have to be compromises. That's how deals work. Zelenskyy's jaw tightened. We will never compromise on our sovereignty. Not 1 inch of Ukraine will be given away. Trump sighed, rubbing his temple. You're in a tough position, he admitted. Without us, you don't have the leverage. But with us, maybe you do. A tense exchange followed. Trump wanted a deal. Zelenskyy wanted guarantees. The two leaders knew that millions were watching, and history was being written in real time. Then a journalist's question cut through the moment. Mr. President, do you see yourself as a peacemaker? Trump smirked. Maybe, he said. Or maybe I'm just the guy who gets the deal done.